Jess is such a thoughtful friend. That photo in the last snap, my daily introduction snap, is a care package that she just put together for her friend Reese, who unfortunately fell off a roof yesterday when she and Jess were playing a game. I'm not even going there. Reese was actually blindfolded when she fell off the roof. She's okay. She spent the night in hospital, got checked out, but she's perfectly fine as far as I understand it. But Jess wanted to put together a little care package for her, so very considerate. So I'm at the doctor for an annual skin check. For anyone not in Australia, this is a pretty standard procedure, just based on the fact that we spend a lot of time in pretty harsh sunlight here. So you need to get your skin checked out to make sure there's no skin cancers. Most of my deep work today has been around a capability assessment for a learning and development team, and I've been working on the analysis and report for them. Although the analysis process is getting more mature every time we do it, there's a small group of us working on some of these assessments for different teams around the globe. We are still very much iterating and figuring out what works best for analysis for both small teams and larger teams, so how to scale the tool and the data that we get. The assessment's being done against a set of 25 skills divided into 5 categories from the Capability Map from the Learning and Performance Institute. So everyone in the team, in this case there's only 10 people in this current stage of assessment. Everyone's gone on to the Lexonus platform and entered their self-assessment on a scale of 1 to 4 against each skill. So in order to analyse the actual current competency levels, we need to project what is required for each position at a period of time into the future, generally 12 to 18 months. So we've got something to compare the current levels to. I've started first by looking at average skill level for each skill across the entire team. So at this level, the data's, when it's rolled up like this and averaged out across the whole team without taking into account what positions individuals are in, for instance, the data is just not nuanced enough to give me actionable insight as to where development gaps are, where strengths are in particular skills. So the next thing I did was to look at each of the competencies and look at the pipeline of skills available within the team. I'll show you what that looks like. Here, for instance, for the category of strategy and operations is one of the tables. So this is a skill of L&D strategy. What you see here is the current skill level, the target skill level, and the gap at each level of skill. There's 4 levels of skill basically. So what this is telling me when I just look at it raw is that at skill level 3, we're 3 short because we currently have no one at that skill level, but we need 3 people. So there's a development need which I can tell a little story about. Of course, it's a little more complicated when you get something like this. There's a gap of 5 people at level 2, but we've got 2 people who have skills at level 3 that are going to cover off part of that gap. Now the spreadsheet I'm doing this work in, because this has come from a spreadsheet, is not developed to the point yet where it will automatically do those calculations. So I kind of have to work backwards from the top level down, looking at filling the gaps and then figuring out if we were to just follow the logic of progressively filling from one level to the next up as people are available, how many people need to be developed. Again, there's some aggregation here, and what this doesn't consider, this kind of pipeline analysis, is which people in positions, if you like, so the distribution of the skills at different levels across the team in different positions. So you may have someone who has a high skill level, but their position doesn't require them to use it, in which case the gap would be underestimated for that particular skill for some positions. But nonetheless, although it's not perfect, it's allowed me to identify at a gross level where there are bigger development gaps across the team, so it might make sense to do a group development plan rather than individual development plans. I've also looked position by position at the gaps in average skill level for the position. In some cases there's only one person in a position, in other cases in this particular team there's 3 people in a position. So again, there's some averaging, but it starts to unravel the pattern of then which positions are short on skills that they need, so we can focus in more specifically on them. I'm not sure how to tie these two pieces of data together yet, and how granular to get. I've got another 2 days to finish off the report before presenting it to the client. So I'm going to leave it for today and see if anything hits me overnight in terms of how to tie it together in a meaningful and useful way. So this analysis is attempting to go from the top down, so from the whole team, and then drilling in on different positions gradually, or competencies for the group as a whole. It's almost in my head that maybe it would be quicker and more useful in this case to look at the position or the situation requirements for versus current skills for each individual position, and almost paint the picture, do the analysis from the bottom up. That maybe for a small team that would be quicker, and you get a level of accuracy that you don't need to do this kind of aggregation to get the insights. I'm playing around with that thought as well. Did something similar when I was working at Coca-Cola Amatil. We did a skill assessment for everybody in a certain working group or a certain position across the organisation to do with software skills, and we mapped all of that out in a spreadsheet, and then we looked for the patterns across the whole group in the spreadsheet, and it took a lot of examination, but we were able to get quite accurate in the analysis and look at which groups of people needed development, who might be able to mentor or coach others. So I think at some point this analysis may need to get down to that level, and it may actually be something I can have a go at tomorrow. I'm not sure. I have to have a think about whether it's worth the time and effort to do that.